Okay, so this week's presentation, Stock Scores Strategy Overview. Here is the itinerary. I will explain first the basics of the Stock Scores approach, how I approach the market as a trader, what is strategy trading, some of the tools that we use, that sort of thing. We're then going to get into the sort of specifics of the different strategies that I offer. And you'll see there that there are 8 listed. 4 are investing strategies and 4 are active trading strategies. And what I'm going to do with each one is go through and explain, the time required to do each strategy, when you would do it, the tools you use, and for some of them we'll actually walk through the process. So I'll pick 1 or 2 of these strategies and we will do it, and then maybe we'll find some stocks that look good as well. All right, and then at the end I'll talk a little bit about how you can learn this stuff. All right, so what is the Stock Scores approach? I've been trading for 26 years and I've always, I shouldn't say always, but for the last 20 at least, I've been a strategy-based trader. That means I approach the market with a set of rules for when to buy, when to sell, and how to manage risk. And those rules are based on testing. So I come up with an idea, I develop a set of rules, I test them, I see if they make money over a large number of trades, and maybe I refine the rules along the way until I get to a point where I've got a simple set of rules, typically 4 or 5, that can be, written on a piece of paper, and those become my strategy rules. I don't try to be smart. I just try to trust statistics. And so if I know that every time a stock trades abnormal volume with abnormal price gain out of a predictive chart pattern, and if I do that 100 times, 70 out of 100 makes money, then I've got a strategy that I'm willing to now put my money to work with. Everything that I teach, I do with my own money, and they're the product of real trading, not of just hypothetical build in a computer model. These are things I actually do, and you can actually watch me trade. That's one of the things that I offer. So I'll talk about that a little later. So it's also not just the rules, but also the process to identify opportunities. We have to be able to find these things in a timely fashion. There's 10, 15,000 stocks trading in North America. How do we find the stocks that meet the rules before it's too late? And if we're having to wait or catch things, a week too late, or when day trading 10 minutes too late, that can often mean the difference between a successful trade and not. So we have to have a good process as well to identify these opportunities efficiently. We're going to utilize some tools that I've developed. When I started trading a long time ago, the tools didn't exist for me to do what I wanted to do. And I was developing these strategies in Excel, and then I wanted to apply them, but they were using some unique indicators that I just couldn't get anywhere. And still today, I can't get a lot of what I do anywhere else. So I built tools myself, and that is the Stock Scores website, and then some proprietary indicators that I've created for a trading software program called TradeStation, which I'll show you. And that gives me an edge because there's not too many people in the world that have those indicators. And it allows me to find things that other people don't see, or that they maybe see later than me. And that is an advantage that having these good tools gives. My approach is simple. Like I said, you can write down the rules on a piece of paper, very small. You can write it on a Post-it note, to be honest. I don't believe that complicated things work well. There's a huge amount of research and time that goes into developing the strategies, but the actual rules should be fairly simple. And most importantly, we want to save time. We don't want to spend hours and hours researching the market to find a stock to buy. The tools that I show you, we can use to do our process in less than 10 minutes, and in some cases far less than 10 minutes. So I'll show you some of that this morning. All right, so let's begin with a little overview of the tools. There's basically 2 things that I use, 3 I guess. For the investing strategies, mostly what I use is the Stock Scores Market Scan tool. I'm often asked, what other websites do you use? Where do you get your research? That sort of thing. I really only use the Stock Scores Market Scan. Now, what is that? Well, let me show you. I'll jump over to the Stock Scores website. Under Tools, there is something there called Market Scan. And I can use these filters to look through the entire market for stocks that are doing certain things. So if I wanted to look for, let's say, stocks on the Canadian markets that have a sentiment score greater than 60, which is one of the things we use for position trading, that are breaking through 80-day resistance, and that traded abnormal volume today, well, on Friday. I'm doing this on Saturday, so, and traded at least 500 times. I've just created a little scan that found nothing. Now, that happens sometimes. I can go back. I can select a preset scan, so I could say Abnormal Breaks Canada, run that, and it found 2. All right, so you can see that it's very fast. Like when I, from the time I take to select the bottom fishing strategy for the US and hit market scan report, it's almost instantaneous how quickly you get the results. And it's interesting here when you look at the results of this one, they're almost all in, I think they're all in, no, there's one stock here, but everything else is an inverse ETF. I don't know if you've heard, but the stock market has been down now the last 9 days in a row, and that hasn't happened since 1980. So this U.S. election has really got investors spooked, and you've just seen the market move down, not a lot every day, but every day down a little bit. There's just been no buyer interest. Everyone worried about the results of the election, and that's really affected the market. And so when we do our market scans today, we maybe won't find much, but we'll run them anyway. Well, certainly for day trading, there was a few. So anyway, so that's the market scan tool. Very good time saver. You can build your own scans, save your own scans. You can use the scans that I've created, which are what these are, or you can build your own. So I've got a whole bunch that I've built over the years that are all in there. I can select 15-day breakout scan, something that I created. I don't really use it anymore, to be frank, but and then you select all, and then you can view the charts very quickly. We'll do this together in a moment. And when you see something you like, you can blow it up. It's a great little tool that I've been using for a long time. So that's the market scan. Now, when we are using our active trader strategies, we'll use the market scan, but if we're day trading and then for some swing trading, we actually focus on a tool called TradeStation. So TradeStation is this software. Nothing to do with me. I own Stockscores website, but I have nothing to do with TradeStation. But what I have done with TradeStation is created my own indicators. And that's the main reason I like TradeStation. It has a programming language called Easy Language, which allows me to program my own indicators. Now, I'm not much of a programmer. I can do a little bit, but I'm not by any means a programmer. So I typically hire TradeStation programmers to write indicators for me. So for example, on the chart that you see here on screen, there are a number of my indicators. You have, I'll just try to circle them here, this blue dot right here, that's called a wave up indicator. You've got a gold one there, that's called a wave down. See that there's a pink dot on that chart, that's called an action candle. White dots, which you can barely see, but there is one there, and actually quite a few of them. Those are called message candles. Down to the bottom, we've got this line there called a price test indicator. It looks for abnormality in price action. And so all of these indicators help me identify opportunities. And I've been developing these over the last 15, 16 years, use them every day. They're very valuable for me to find things before they move. All right, so that's a little bit about TradeStation. Now, what I just showed you as a chart, excuse me, we also have these things called radar screens, which allow you to monitor a large list of stocks. So I can grab a whole bunch of stocks from a list here. I'll just quickly do this. And I can post them into one of these screens and blow it up. And it shows me the value of some of my indicators. So you can see here I've got price test, and this is volume test. And when I'm day trading especially, I look for values for these indicators that are above certain thresholds. So for example, these will all be fairly abnormal, but these were the stocks at the top of the list here that were trading abnormally on Friday, and abnormal stocks are the ones that have the best potential to make strong market-beating moves. And so I can then monitor that list of stocks that are trading abnormally for certain entry patterns. And that's really what I'm all about. I look for certain patterns. So for example, there's a message candle right here breaking out of a little ascending triangle, very short. Early in the day, that's okay to take that kind of a thing. And then if we look at a different time frame, I'm on my laptop here, so it's a little bit different than my normal screen. But see here on this chart, we've got this pink dot right there. That's something called an action candle. and it is a sign that there is abnormal volume, which you can see there's very strong volume, and the price action was very strong. So that right there told me, and then out of a period where there was a lot of sideways trading. So this was on Friday morning, and at $11 we had that trigger, and the stock went up to $12.50 within about an hour, 2 hours. So these indicators are very valuable for finding that, and I'll show you a little bit more about them as we go through. All right, so that is TradeStation. Now the other thing that I use is a real-time charting program that I get from my broker. So I'm trading the market every day. I got to execute my trades. If I was in the US, which I'm not, I'm Canada, but if I was an American living in the US, I'd be able to have a brokerage account with TradeStation where I could do all my buying and selling with that broker. However, Canadians can't open a brokerage account with a US broker, so I can use TradeStation to do my analytics, but I have to then execute the orders through my Canadian broker using their real-time charting software. One of the things that many of my students do is they don't use TradeStation. They'll use the Stockscores market scan tool for the analytics, and then they'll monitor their stocks with some other real-time charting software. TC2000 is a popular one, NinjaTrader, there's a number of them. They don't really use my indicators, and that's I guess the weakness. But in terms of chart pattern recognition, as long as you can see a real-time chart, it's good. I think if you take that path where you don't use TradeStation, you can probably find, I'm going to say 60% of the trades that I would find using TradeStation. So by using this more powerful software and again, this is just for day trading and swing trading, by using that more powerful software, I can just find more trades, and therefore I can have the potential to make more money. But the market scan tool is way easier to use. I prefer it. Problem is it's not done in real time, so it will miss some of the trading opportunities that come up early in the day. And so for some of our strategies, that's a bit of a problem. All right, so, and I want to stress, TradeStation is really only for day traders, and swing traders can get away with using either, although I think it's easier to swing trade with TradeStation than without, but it's not essential. All right. If you want to be an investor longer term, you're managing your retirement portfolio, that sort of thing, you're never going to use TradeStation. In fact, you probably don't even need real-time charting software. Just the Stockscores market scan and our charts on Stockscores is sufficient. All right. And this will become a little more evident as we go through the strategies. So I'm going to go through 4 investor strategies, and I'll explain them, and I'll give you an example of one of these investor strategies. So first one that we're going to look at is the Stockscores Simple Daily. This is a strategy that you apply every day. Now, you don't have to do it every day. You could do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. It just means if you don't apply it on Monday and Wednesday, you don't find the opportunities that came up that day. It is a position trading strategy. What that means is that the anticipated hold period is anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 months, typically. It could be longer. Sometimes it could be shorter, but typically it's a longer-term trade, but a very short-term investment. The time requirement to do the work to find these opportunities is 15 minutes per day, and you can do it any time. Ideally, you would do it either after about the first hour of the day, the last hour of the day, or in the evening. And any of those 3 is fine. In the middle of the day, you can do it then too. You wouldn't do it in the first 10 minutes of the trading day because stocks wouldn't have done enough to create the opportunities yet. So you can really do it anytime. Most people do this in the evening. They come home from work, they run their market scans, and find stocks that they will then buy the following day. All right. Now the analysis time frame, we're going to focus mostly on daily charts. And then we'll do a confirmation by looking at the weekly chart. Who is it for? This is for investors managing their own portfolios that have a little more time and interest to be more active than the next strategy I'm going to show you. So you like the market, you enjoy sitting in front of your computer looking at some stocks on a daily basis, this is a great strategy. But at the same time, you don't have the time or the desire to look at the market during the day. You go to work, you have things that you do. Maybe you're retired and you like to golf. You just want to manage your portfolio. This is a good strategy for that. All right. Now, a very simple a very similar strategy, is the Stockscores Simple Weekly. It's almost exactly the same in terms of process and criteria. The only difference is that the analysis time frame that you focus on is the weekly with confirmation on the daily. With the other one, we said we focus on the daily with confirmation on the weekly. And so this one is a longer term strategy. Our typical hold period anywhere from 2 months to 2 years. The time requirement is less. It's 15 minutes a week. You can do your work on Friday evening, Saturdays, whatever. You can do it on a Wednesday if you want, but you don't have to spend as much time doing the research. You're looking for longer term opportunities that you can hold for, as I said, months or even years. It's good for investors managing their own portfolio, but they don't have the time or the interest to sit and do the research. It's got a longer term time horizon. You know, maybe you're retired and you just want to maintain a portfolio of 10 or 15 stocks. This is how you find those 10 or 15 stocks. So I'm actually going to show you this one today. So we are in the market scan tool. Now the first thing you have to do with this strategy is set your chart time frame to a weekly. I've actually already done this, but I'll just show you how to do it. So you just open up any chart by entering a symbol up in the top right-hand corner there. That's where you enter in a symbol. If you want to enter a Canadian symbol, you have to put a T dot in front of it. So if you wanted to do Suncor, it would be T.SU for Suncor. If you wanted to look at Suncor on the New York Stock Exchange, you would just type in SU because that's the New York version of it. BMO, T.BMO, which is Bank of Montreal. And on the New York Stock Exchange, it is Bank of Montreal, BMO. All right. So well, let's first just show you how you change your chart to a weekly chart. As I said, I've already done this, but you can see here that I've got my interval set to weekly and my look back period set to 3 years. Okay, and that to me is the ideal setup. You could plot moving averages. You know, you see here I've got none selected. Some people like to use moving averages. I don't, but I do like to see that the show stock scores and show volume are turned on. So there's little check boxes there. You want to make sure those are turned on. And then you just click on Create Chart right here, and it will make that chart a 3-year weekly, but also it will set that as your default so that future charts are going to be 3-year weekly charts. So now if I pull up any stock, let's pull up Suncor, and there is Suncor 3-year weekly on the New York Stock Exchange. All right, and you can see that I have at the bottom here my stock scores chart. For this particular strategy, we want the stock scores to be above 60 and the signal score to be above 80. So that happened actually last week when we had this, not a great pattern, but decent pattern break on Suncor. Probably wants to go up into here soon. So it's okay. It's not a great chart, but it's getting better. And then we've got the volume right here. So that's the number of shares traded for the week. You can see on Suncor it was a light week. The reason this bar is red is because it was down for the week. And on the price chart up at the top, the reason it is red is because, see the red candle there? That's because it closed below the open of the week. So last week it opened just under $31 and it closed the week at close to $29. So for the week it was down. All right, so that's what these colors mean. Anytime it's red, it means it closed below the open. And on the volume, red means it was down for that period. Green means it was up for that period. All right, so now we can go in and do the market scan. And so we're going to select Stockscores Simple Weekly. We can do that on the Canadian or the US market. Let's try Canada and run the report. And it found for us 8 stocks to look at. Now, typically, you would get more than this. I would say for the Canadian market, I would expect to see at least 20 or 30 and sometimes many more if the market's in good shape. The market is not in good shape right now. We've had a, as I said, 9 days in a row of selling pressure, and that really hurts stocks' ability to show good chart patterns. And so I personally am almost entirely in cash right now and have been that way for some time. And that's simply market conditions. Now you can make money from markets going down with inverse ETFs, but I think it's also a little bit too late to enter those. That opportunity came a couple weeks ago. So anyway, we've got 8, not very many. Let's now analyze them. So I can analyze these using 2 chart viewers. I'm just going to highlight this here. Over on the right where it says View In, we've got Gallery. And if I click on the little pull-down menu, I've also got Slideshow. If I select Slideshow, that will show me one chart at a time in a very large view. And so it's easy for me to see the patterns and that sort of thing. And there's certain things that I would look for. I like to see abnormal price action through resistance. So for example, there was resistance on this chart and there was some abnormal price action and the stock went up nicely. Now, right now on this stock, you're well into the upward trend. It's been going up since October of last year, so like basically a year. And to me, it feels like it's a little bit risky to be buying, up here when the trend started, way down here, right? So this is a good hold, not something I would want to buy right now. So let's move on to the next one. I move on to the next one by clicking on the right arrow key, and I hit the next one. And so now the process is to look for stocks that are starting their upward trend from a predictive chart pattern. There's something on this chart called a cup and handle pattern. Now, if you've taken my courses, you'll know what a cup and handle pattern is. It looks like this. Let me make that a little easier to see. Put it in blue here. Okay, there's the little cup, and there's the handle. And then on the right side of the handle, we had a breakout with abnormal price action for the week. And that was at $6.75 back in April of this year. So since April, the stock has gone from $6.75 to $12.50, so almost 100% gain. And it all started with abnormal price action out of a predictive chart pattern. And that's what this market scan looks for. So if you do this scan every week, you'll find these stocks at the right time. But you'll also find stocks that are well into their upward trend because they remain strong. And we don't want to sell this stock yet. There's no reason to sell it. And so it still comes up on these scans. So Celestica, I don't like that pattern. This one is okay. It's a break of a downward trend line. It's got some issues, but let's just go through a little lesson on patterns here. It's got something called a triple bottom. See how it hit the same point 3 times, $14, and it couldn't get down through that. And then if I drew a trend line kind of like this, you can see that I've broken that trend line this week with very abnormal volume, abnormal price action. So that gives this stock I would say a 65% chance of going into an upward trend in the months ahead. Maybe not next week, maybe not over the next 4 weeks, because after a big break like this, you often get a little bit of a pullback first. But the probability that it is bottoming and ready to start to move higher is pretty good. And so if you wanted to buy this stock, then you do risk management. Say, okay, I'm buying at $20, and I'm going to have a stop loss at, let's say, $15. The difference between those two is $5, and that allows us to calculate our number of shares and based on our portfolio size and risk tolerance and that sort of thing. And then we just wait. And if it happens to go down and close below $15, then we get out and take a loss. But hopefully probability is on our side, and this thing just meanders higher over the next 2 years, and it earns us a nice return for the risk we took. Okay, so that is, again, sort of the process. So let's go through the rest of these, and I'll tell you if I see anything that's good. So far, I'm not crazy about any of these. This one's pretty good. This is a cup and handle pattern too, not as clean as the other one we saw. So Constellation Software, and let me just draw the pattern out here for you. There's your cup and handle, breaking this week. Good chance it'll pull back short term before it goes higher because it's been going up for the last 3 or 4 months. And anytime you get breakouts where there was quite a rally into the breakout, you often get a little bit of a pullback. Notice that the stock scores have been in good place above 60 on the green line for some time, the last 3 months or so. And so it's a pretty good chart. I would rate this one a 7 out of 10. I think it's got good potential to go higher. It's an expensive stock. It's $600 and something dollars. What is it? $629 on the close Friday. So it's capital intensive. It's going to take more money to own this. But that's the process. If you had done this process every week, you would have also had a buy signal back in 2014 when the stock made a break right here from a ascending triangle pattern. Excuse me. There was probably more back this way too. I have to make that chart go back farther, but it's been a great performer. But for the last or for this period here, it was really an underperformer. It didn't do anything. After considerable gains, that's normal. And notice that our stock scores weren't really in good shape there either. Once this upward trend line was broken right here, our stock scores really dropped. See that? So I designed the stock scores to evaluate chart patterns, and when those scores start to drop below 50, that's usually a sign that the momentum is reversing. All right? Okay. So that was all for that scan, and that's the Stock Score Simple Weekly. Now, quickly I'll go through the other investor strategies. There's the abnormal breaks. This one focuses on stocks making abnormal price moves with strong volume. It's also a position trade. Typical hold period 2 months to 2 years. It's a little more active. Your hold period can even be more on the lower side of this range. Again, it takes 15 minutes a day or week. I wrote here week. It could be day as well. In fact, it should be day or week. And analysis time frame, focus on the daily with confirmation on the weekly. It's for more trade-oriented investors looking to trade hot stocks, often the lower price stocks under $10. This one is good for picking up on those. And it requires a little more attention because these lower price stocks tend to move a little quicker, and so you have to be a little bit more on top of them. And the bottom fishing strategy is a strategy where you look for stocks that have been in long-term downward trends that then start to reverse. And so we want to buy them when they start to move up after really being poor performers for a long time. It's kind of a value-oriented approach where you're looking for stocks beat up and you're looking to buy these previously weak stocks that are reversing their trend. Again, position trading strategy, it's 15 minutes per day or per week. I would say more so per day. It's a little more active strategy. This strategy works well when the market has been performing poorly for a long time. So you don't do this strategy a lot when you've got a bull market, but when you've got a market that's been weak for a while, which we've seen in our markets, not so much Canadian, but in the U.S. market the last little while, they've been weak for a while, and so this is going to generate a lot of good picks. I would expect later in November into December and even into the winter months. So that's the approach there. You're looking for stocks that have been beat up, that are turning. I call them bottom fishing for that reason. All right, so that's the investor strategies. I'll just pause for a moment and see if there's any questions relevant to what I've been talking about, and then I'll move on. So a question is, how do we determine what strategy to apply based on market scenarios? Should we do market analysis first and weekends? Yeah, it's a good question. I think that you have to look at what the overall market is doing and then decide, do you even want to be buying stocks or be in cash? Right now, I recommend you're in cash, but I think that'll change in the next week or two. And then you have to look at the general state of the market, determine what strategies are going to work the best. So the bottom fishing strategy, as I said, is a good one when we're coming out of a bearish situation. So the S&P has been moving down for a while, so we might get some good picks out of that market when the market starts to turn. Now, typically, the market is strongest from November till the end of April. So we're in that period when these things should start to move up. Now, what I do for you is every week I do a video, and if you go to YouTube, it's all free. Go to YouTube, and there's a link on our homepage as well. But on the YouTube, on my channel, there is a video called the Market Minutes, and it's uploaded every week. There's the weekly Market Minutes here. So I usually do like a 10-minute video each week on the state of the market, and so I welcome you to watch that. I haven't done this week's video yet. I'll do it today. Should be uploaded later today. It's always uploaded by Monday, but it's usually Friday or Saturday I actually do it. And so just go to YouTube and just search for Stockscores, and you'll find my channel. There I am, big ugly head. All right, so, or you can go to the Stockscores homepage and link to it from there as well. Okay, so let me move on to the active trader strategy. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Stockscores Simple Swing strategy. Now, swing trading is holding stocks for anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks. So you're not day trading where you're in and out within the day. You're holding these for overnight holds, but not for very long. You're looking to trade stocks that are kind of hot in the news, that sort of thing. They're moving, and you're in and out of them fairly quickly. It takes 1 to 2 hours a day. You don't have to do it every day. But if you hold stocks, you do have to check your stocks a little bit during the day. That doesn't take 1 or 2 hours. That takes 10 minutes maybe. So it's useful for people that maybe have some time in the morning to check the market and then can sort of monitor their holdings from their cell phone. So I'll often, walk around with my cell phone checking my stocks, and I can actually trade from my phone and check charts on my phone and that sort of thing. So swing trading works well for someone that has some time, but maybe not the time to spend all day or the desire. Your analysis time frame, the focus is on the 13-minute. Some strategies are on the 30. And then we look for confirmation on the daily. It's for those traders who have time during the trading day to search for opportunities, ideally in the first and last hour of the trading day. Most of the entry signals come in the first hour, and then we want to check our stocks in the last hour to see if there's a reason to exit them. If you can watch them a little bit during the day, that's helpful as well. All right. Now the swing trade strategy, you can use 2 different tools for that. You can use Stockscores. With Stockscores, you're going to miss those movers that come right at the open, but still works pretty good. So if I go in here and go Stockscores Simple Swing, right there, I can run the report, and I can then check these charts. Now I've got these charts set to a weekly chart, which is not what I want. So first thing I have to do is change my chart to a 30-minute chart. So let's go into the chart settings and change this to an intraday 30-minute candle going back 10 days. Okay, create chart. So now I've got shorter term charts. There's the chart of Microsoft over the last 10 days. And it looks much like the S&P does, which has been in this, kind of precipitous downward move. Not a sharp one, but a drift lower as investors just don't want to hold stocks into the election. All right, so let's go back to the market scan and select the Stockscores Simple Swing. And I'm going to apply this on stocks under $10. So I can add in a filter to say under $10 and run the report. And then I can look through these short-term charts for good pattern breaks. And you would do this a few times a day. The first one you would do about 40 minutes after the open to see what that opening candle did. And then you might check them a few other times during the day if you have time. Most of the entry signals come in the first hour, and so you don't have to do them throughout the rest of the day. So here's a stock, if we blow this one up. It made what's called an action candle right at the open, so a very strong move at the open with strong volume, and that told me something was going on, and it was also breaking resistance at the downward trend line, and it moved up after that. Now if we jump over to TradeStation, sorry, I'm getting over a cold here, so I'm trying not to let you hear me cough, but I do once in a while. So notice on TradeStation there's a pink dot here. So if I just highlight this right there, see that pink dot? So that's an action candle. That means that the stock traded abnormal volume with abnormal price action, and that is a sign that this stock has got something going on. Now this isn't a very good pattern because although it was breaking this downward trend, it had a lot of resistance right here. See this price peak? These are things I'll teach you how to do. But that price peak there told me that that stock was probably going to get stuck at that level, and that's exactly what happened. It was suitable for a day trade on Friday, and we'll maybe look at that in a minute. All right, so that is the market scan tool, and I also use TradeStation to do this. You can use either. TradeStation will give you more trades than Stockscores will. Stockscores is way easier to use. It's less time consuming. This was a good one. So on Friday, it broke out of this trading range right here. Some abnormal price action at 8:15 in the morning. It was at $8.15. It closed at 8:50, and looks like it would probably go higher. Now, how much higher? Well, for that answer, I look to the 6-month daily chart, and I see that it's coming into resistance. So here we have old ceiling price, not that far away. So that's probably where the stock will get stuck, 875. I expect that'll happen next week. It'll stall there and then go sideways for a while. So those sorts of things are what I can teach you how to do in terms of reading charts. and you can use these tools to do all that. All right, let's move on to the next strategy, the intraday pullbacks. This is my favorite day trading strategy, at least right now. It's the one I use the most. It hold period is a day. Okay, you're always out of your positions by the end of the day. Time requirement, you can do it all day or you can do it in the first 2 hours of the day and then check your stocks at the end of the day for exit signals. I would say in the first 2 hours you're going to get 80% of the valid entry signals. If you want to trade all day, then you'll get the other 20%. Our focus in our analysis is on the 2-minute chart, and we look for confirmation on the 13 and confirmation on the daily. It's for active day traders who love to sit in front of a screen and take advantage of fast-moving stocks. Some of you may have seen pictures on the internet of my desk. I've got 11 screens in front of me. I sit there in front of them all day, and I buy and sell stocks, and it's my passion. I was going to say it's my job, but it's probably more my hobby because I enjoy it so much. I go on vacation, I still trade. It's something I love to do, but it's not for everybody. Not everyone likes to sit in front of a computer that long. I just enjoy it. I enjoy the thought process. I enjoy the challenge of it. It's to me, it's fun. All right, so how do we do that one? Well, let's go back to the TradeStation program. So this strategy, you pretty much have to have real-time charting program of some sort. I recommend TradeStation. It is way simpler and more powerful than the other software programs out there, but it comes with a cost as well. If you don't have a brokerage account with them, and of course me as a Canadian, I cannot have a brokerage account with them. If you don't have a brokerage account with them, then you got to subscribe to it, and it's about $300 a month Canadian to subscribe to it. So it's a cost of doing business. You know, if I was going to open a Subway, I'd have to rent some retail space in a mall or in a strip mall or something. I'm going to pay my $3,000 or $4,000 a month in rent for the space, or $5,000, whatever it is, and that's my cost of doing business. This is my system for identifying what to buy and sell, and it costs $300 a month. It's well worth it. But if you're not going to trade as a career or even as a part-time career, then it's not an expense you want to take on, and you can use other programs out there while you're learning. But again, what I have done is created all these indicators for TradeStation to help me see entry signals. So, for example, the intraday pullback strategy looks for little blue dots and white dots. Okay, so first of all, it has to be on my watch list. This stock would be on my watch list because it made an action candle on the 13-minute on the opening of the day. Okay, so on the 13-minute, it had one of those pink dots. I showed that to you earlier. So that's what puts it on the watch list. Then I wait for a blue dot and a white dot in a certain combination. So it qualified there, and my entry point would be here. My stop loss would be here. And then I wait to see what happens through the day. The stock kind of meandered higher. So the entry price was at about $670. It closed the day at $730. Excuse me. So I made, almost 10% during that day. That's a pretty good return. A lot of people would love to get 10% in a year. This stock made that from the entry point for the day. I'll just give you one more example. So here's one that I found on Friday. So again, see the little blue dot and white dot right there? So what I've drawn on here for you is what we call risk-reward lines. We use these risk-reward lines for our exit. There was no exit signal on this, so you would just exit it at the end of the day. But basically how these lines move and how the stock moves relative to those lines is where we pick our exit points. So in this case, we bought this stock at 74.79 with a stop loss point down around 74.16. And it didn't do great. It ended up closing the day just under 2-to-1. So what that means is if I risked $1,000, I made $2,000. Okay, if I risked $100, then I made $200. And your risk tolerance, which is this number here, determines how many shares you buy. And there's formulas that I teach you in my program on how to do all that. Okay, so that is the intraday pullbacks. Another strategy, superheroes, very similar to intraday pullbacks, a little bit different pattern setup, but the same process, the same watch list. You build a watch list, you monitor the watch list for message candles, which are basically the white dots, and when you have a message candle, you check the chart for a break of a predictive pattern. Most of the signals come in the first 2 hours of the day, again 80%. Actually, with this strategy, probably more like 70%. So you can do it all day and get the other 30% of the signals. Your analysis time frame focused on the 2-minute, so you're watching 2-minute charts mostly, but then you look for confirmation on the 13 and confirmation on the daily. It's for active day traders who love to sit in front of a screen all day, same as the intraday pullbacks. Wave strategy. Wave strategy is a strategy that focuses on a very short list of highly liquid stocks. So the Microsofts, the Apples, the really actively traded stocks, and it looks for patterns. But these stocks tend to be higher priced. So if I pull up Apple, for example, I'll just see if there was any wave signals on Apple. There was, let's see here. Okay, there was a buy, I don't have my little pen on here. So there's a buy signal right there. There's that white dot. This one made a little bit of money. Probably ended up being a break even, to be honest. Now a short, no. Oh yeah, this is down for the day. Yeah, it's borderline whether it made interestingly here. But the point that I actually want to make is that this is a $110 stock. So this wave strategy is more capital intensive. It'll generate trades for you every day of the week. Up market, down market, because it's a buy and a short selling strategy. However, you tend to trade stocks that are higher priced. They're not all higher priced, but I would say 90% of them are going to be higher priced stocks because those are the most actively traded stocks, and that's what this strategy focuses on. So it's not for everyone because it takes more capital, but for people with a lot more capital to trade with, I would say $500,000 and up, it's a great strategy because you can buy $1 million worth of Apple in less than a second. It doesn't make a dent in the market. But for someone with a $10,000 account, you're not going to do this strategy because it is capital intensive. All right, so I built this one for two reasons. One, to give you trades every day because it does, and two, to give something for those who have more capital to place to do, because you need stocks with good liquidity to absorb larger orders, and so that's what this strategy is all about. All right, so how do you learn all this stuff? Well, we have on Stockscores something called the Stockscores Education Center, and it is an area on the website that has 3 functional areas. It has the foundation, where you see written lessons on theory, videos explaining that theory, an assignment to make sure you understand that theory, and then a test so that you can have confidence that you have really understood it all. So if I jump back into Stockscores and go into education, go into foundation, here is a lesson called the 6 elements of chart patterns. I can read about it. I can watch a video. I can do an assignment. And then I can take a test. Okay, so it's online learning, self-directed, very well organized, easy to follow. I teach. I've created all the material on here. It's me teaching an online class basically, but because it's recorded, you can watch it as many times as you like or need. So it's nice that way. Once you understand the theory, then you can understand the rules. It's hard to understand the rules for my strategies unless you understand the theory first. So you work through the foundation material. That'll take you a couple days. And then once you've done that, you can start learning the rules of the strategy. So if you wanted to apply the Stockscores simple weekly strategy, you would read that lesson, watch that video. In the lesson, I'll teach you when to buy, when to sell, how to manage your risk and size your positions, and the process for identifying the opportunity. Okay, so if listening today you said, well, you know what, I think that the intraday pullbacks is a strategy I would want to do. I'd like to day trade. I have the time to do it. So you're going to focus on that one. Most people focus on 1 or 2 strategies. You might day trade the intraday pullbacks and the superheroes, but then manage some of your longer term money with the Stockscores simple weekly strategy. So you can combine different things. It's up to you. One of the things I do with my students is help them determine what strategy is right for them. So once you've gone through all of the foundation material and the active trader or investor material, depending on which course you do, then at the end, we're going to make a trading plan for you. You're going to make it, and I'm going to give you some help in focusing in on the right strategies for your situation and making sure your plan is done properly. So how do you learn? we have these courses. One is called the Investor course. It gives you access to the foundation lessons and the investor strategies. It gives you access to the investor strategy market scans on Stockscores. You get email support from me, so if you have a question, you can email me about the material. Let's say you are doing your market scan, you think that Suncor looks like a good stock to buy, you want to make sure you're applying the rules correctly, you can fire me an email. I'll help you with that. And you get 6 months access to these tools, so the investor market scans and that sort of thing. 6 months is included with the course, and you can renew it for $300 per year. The Active Trader course is for those that want to do the active trader strategies. You may want to do the investor strategies as well. You get access to both. So foundation, yes. Investor, yes. But also the active trader strategies. And you get access to the investor and active trader market scans on Stockscores. Again, email support from me. Again, 6 months access to our tools. And the final thing, and really important if you want to be a day or swing trader, is access to my proprietary real-time indicators for TradeStation. Okay, and I don't give those to anyone unless they take my course. They're very valuable to me, and I just don't distribute them any other way. I get people all the time asking me if they can just have my TradeStation code. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars creating or having those programmed, and not to mention all the time it takes to develop them. So that's something only my students get. In addition, right now, coming up starting November 12th, so next Saturday, I will be doing some live training to complement what is online already. So we're going to do a foundation review on Saturday next week from 9 until 12 Pacific time. 3 hours, I'm going to give you an overview of all of the theory. So this is what I call my procrastination overcome day, where I'm just going to walk you through everything and not really necessarily teach you anything that isn't already online, but put it all together in a very easy to manage way. And then for the investor students, each evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, for about an hour, we're going to do market scans together. So starting Monday, November 21st from 6 till 7-ish, we're going to do market scans. And then the same thing Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the following Monday, we'll do our final session. So this is just practicing what you have learned in the online material. I give you a few weeks to go through the online material. That's why it doesn't start till November 21st, so that you can be up to speed and get a good benefit out of seeing me do the market scans. And I actually make you assess the charts on your own and write down which charts you would say were buys, and then we go back through them together, and I'll tell you which ones I think are worth taking so that you can see how I would do it. And hopefully I can make you more fussy. That's the key with this stuff, is you have to be very selective and picky. And that's why we practice. All right, so that's real world training without the benefit of hindsight. It's just doing it as if you would be doing it for the next 20 years of your life. Now, for those who do the Active Trader course, I am going to do live training and trading same days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and then the following Monday. The 24th is Thanksgiving in the U.S., so that's why we don't do it on the 24th. So the first 2 hours of the trading day, I will walk you through the processes in real market conditions live. You'll see my trading screen. You'll hear my voice as I go through the processes explaining what I'm doing and why I'm taking a trade or not taking a trade. And I'll use my money to buy and sell stocks. You'll see me do it. The focus this week is on teaching, so I often miss some trades because I'm talking too much. But for the rest of the month, you can actually watch me trade live for the first 2 hours of the day. That's already underway. So if you sign up for this Active Trader course tomorrow or today, you'll be able to watch me trade Monday. You haven't missed much so far because of this election. The market's been very quiet for active trading the last week, but I expect that'll pick up maybe as soon as Monday, because often the market will start to move before the event actually happens. Of course, the election is Tuesday, so yeah, that's how the training works on the live side. So, special offer: if you register for either the Investor or the Active Trader course by Tuesday of next week at 11 p.m. Pacific, you're going to get that live online material included for free. Normally $495 value. When I teach things live, that's the price of my courses are higher, so you're getting this live training for free. So again, if you do the Investor course, Foundation Live on Saturday, plus the investor market scanning on 2 weeks later. Oh, actually not 2 weeks, week and a half later. If you do the active trader course, you get Foundation Live, you get the investor sessions in the evening, but you also get the live trading through the whole month of November with the focus on education this week right here. I didn't write that right. That's the 28th. Okay. So live trading for most of November. I say most of November because on the 17th and 18th, I'm in Las Vegas for the Traders Expo. It's a trader show that goes on every year. And so I won't be trading those 2 days, but other than that, I'll be trading all month with education Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the following Monday. Cost. Stockscores Investor Course, $2,495. Active Trader Course, $3,495. If you want to upgrade from the investor to the active trader, it'll cost you $1,250. So it's basically the difference plus $250. And again, you get 6 months access to the tool and then $300 a year to continue using the tool. There's no limit to how long you can access the videos. You can watch them 100 times if you want. I've got people that are watching videos today that took my course 5 years ago. They want to still keep on trying to understand things. I upload new content from time to time, so there's no limit to that. All right. Now I'm going to quickly put up a poll. If you would like a follow-up email with a little more information about how to register for the class, you can answer this. If you've answered one of these polls already in the last month, then you don't need to. Where is my poll here? Okay, so I'll just post this. So you should see this come up in a second. Now you can register for the course immediately. You do that by going to stockscores.com/learn, and I'll post that link in a moment. And on that page, you can sign up right there. All the pricing is on that page. And there's a couple of videos on there that you can watch if you want to learn more about the investor course or the active trader course. You can do that right there. So I will just leave this poll up for another minute or so, and then I'll take some questions and we'll wrap up. And I can go try and get rid of this cold. I haven't been sick for over a year, so it's kind of a drag. But when you have a 4-year-old who goes to school every day, brings all kinds of stuff home. Okay, so I'm going to stop this now. And if you watch this webinar as a video, because I know some of you are doing that, then if you want to get the email, just email me. And there's my email address, tylerb@stockscores.com. If you have any questions, you can email me there. Here's the page where you can learn more about the courses, stockscores.com/learn. If you go to StockScores and go to the home page, right here, Learn to Trade with the StockScores Approach, click on that. It'll take you to the Learn area. And there you can see there's a few videos on the different courses. It'll show you the pricing, that kind of thing. All right, so I'll just quickly see if there's any questions. I'm not going to do any stock questions today because I'm losing my voice, but see if I can answer a few things here. So how do we determine exit points? We use those lines. So I didn't teach anything about that today. I've done that in other webinars, but not today. When a stock is going up, do you still sell at the end of the day? So I assume you mean for a day trade, and generally yes, but you can hold them overnight if they qualify for a swing trade as well. You just have to adjust your risk management, because when you hold overnight, you are taking on more risk. So question, what is a worm strategy? A worm strategy is a strategy I don't really do anymore. I do it once in a while, but basically it's buying stocks in the first half an hour using a set of rules. The only problem with the worm is that the risk reward doesn't tend to be as good as waiting. Even if you have to buy it at a higher price later in the day, it's better to sometimes wait because your risk management is better. So, and I know, Yasha, you're already in the course, so we'll talk about that more in the actual classes. If a day trade didn't work, could you hold it for longer? Sometimes, but again, it adds in some added risk when you start holding things overnight. I thought you moved to Hawaii. I was in Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for 6 months last year, and to be honest, I got bored. And so then I moved to Whistler and lived there for 6 months and loved it. And now I'm back in Kelowna, which is, for those that don't know, that's in British Columbia, a few hours east of Vancouver. What is the superhero strategy? I didn't go into the actual details of how those work. That's something you have to learn in the class. But basically, it's a day trading strategy for taking advantage of abnormal stocks that are moving quickly. Do I have access to all of the market scans for $300 a year without registering for a course? No, you do not. You have to take the course to access the market scans. All right, I think that's it. And thanks for all the advice on my cold. I'm actually getting over it. It was far worse yesterday. I feel pretty good today. Just sound like a frog. But anyway, getting over it. So I'm going to wrap up today's presentation. Oh, here's comes another one. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different platforms. So TD has a platform called Thinkorswim, but Thinkorswim doesn't allow you to program the indicators like I do. They do have a programming language. I haven't looked into it, but when I go to the Traders Expo, that's one of the things I'm going to check on and see if there's a way to import in my TradeStation code into Thinkorswim, because they're usually there. I know they were there last year, so I expect that they'll be there this year, and I will look at that. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions, you can email me if I missed it. And enjoy your weekend. Again, deadline for the signing up of the class to get all these bonuses is Tuesday. The sooner you sign up for the Active Trader course, the sooner you can start watching me trade live. So some benefit to doing it sooner than then. But if you have any questions between now and then, please don't hesitate to ask. My email address was on the screen there. Maybe I'll put it up one more time. And said maybe I'll put it up one more time. There it is. All right, so have a great rest of the weekend, and we will see you again soon. Thanks.